Well, this is a collaboration between the Museum of London, the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime, and also the Metropolitan Police. And basically they approached us to help them curate an exhibition from their collections at the Crime Museum. And of course these are collections that have never been seen before, they've never been seen in public before. So it was a really exciting opportunity for us, a real challenge as well. And I guess the challenge is drawing out the stories that those objects tell. It's a very large collection of objects to do with the Great Train Robbery in the Crime Museum. So again, we've selected a number of them. Many of the objects come from Leatherslade Farm in Buckinghamshire, which is where the gang sort of holed up after the robbery. They had planned to stay there longer, but realised that the police were onto them from radio reports and so on. So they knew that they were going to be discovered, so they had to leave in a hurry. They did wipe down most of the surfaces, they were quite meticulous about that, but they did leave fingerprints on some of the smaller items. So the things that you see here today, like the champagne bottle, and also, which I love, the Andrew's liver sauce that's on display alongside it. They basically, obviously, just didn't even think about the fact that their fingerprints were going to be on those. The death mask that's on display is of a man called Daniel Good, who was executed. He was hanged at Newgate Prison, outside Newgate Prison, because of course at that time there were public executions. The death mask that you see there is one of a number that we'll be displaying. There's a whole group of death masks from Newgate that were taken after the executions were done. But there was also a sort of slightly medical, or at that time would have been seen as a medical reason for them. There was a science called phrenology, which was looking at the shape of the head, and particularly the back of the head, the shape of the skull. And it was thought that you could decide who was a criminal and who wasn't from the shape of the skull. So obviously they were very keen to get the shape of known criminals' skulls and get the shape from that. Planning the exhibition, we're really keen not to glorify in any way crime or the criminals involved. Obviously we are putting on display some of those very well-known cases like the Krays, Great Train Robbery, but also we have far more of the exhibition is actually taken up with cases that involve much more ordinary people, much more ordinary cases, but when you read into them are really, really fascinating, and that's what we were very keen to do, that these objects have these amazing stories behind them, and what we wanted to do was bring out the people and the stories behind the objects.